Hey guys, it's Silly J. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are doing well. So today we're going to make fresh lasagna. I did make the pasta fresh. However, the video I recorded for that has gotten corrupted, so I don't have that no longer. However, it's a very simple recipe. You can use any of your favorite noodle recipes. I will link one down below if you want to use that one. But it's just eggs, flour, a little salt. What you're going to do is you're going to have a mound of flour, right? Then you're going to add the eggs in with a little bit of the salt. You're going to mix it together until it comes a shaggy dough. And then you're going to knead for about 8 to 10 minutes to the smooth, and then let it rest for about 30 to 60 minutes. But other than that, that's it. And then you roll it out to your desired thickness and style of noodle you want. I do have a KitchenAid mixer with the pasta attachment, and that's what I'll be using in this video. All right, so now after you got that dough prepared and you are ready to move on to rolling out your pasta, cut off a portion of the dough that I want to start with. I roll it out so it can be about the size I need it to be to fit in actually the pasta roller. Now in there, so I just kind of pressed it out. But as you can see, because I gave that dough that time to rest, it is smoothly going in and out of the pasta maker. Now, if your dough is too sticky, it probably needs a little flour. But it shouldn't be sticky at all. This part is like the easy part. It's just a little time consuming because I have a lot of dough there. As you can see, I'm trimming off the excess, the edges, to just try to make it a little bit even. And then after trimming my dough, I add a little bit of flour in there, and then just kind of stack it and set it to the side and just keep on rolling. Essentially from here, you're just going to rinse and repeat. You're going to cut the dough, you're going to flatten it out, you're going to put it through the pasta maker until you finish it all up. After you finish the pasta that you're going to use for your lasagna, what I went ahead and did is I cut up my already sliced mushrooms. I just kind of dice them up until they're like kind of minced, or I know they're going to shrink in size, so mince is not, I'm not trying to get it super small, but I am trying to get it small enough so that my kids don't know that they're there. Along with the garlic, I go ahead and mince up all my vegetables and fruits. All my vegetables that I'm going to use for the dish, which is garlic, and I mince it. If you have fresh garlic, I would say use fresh garlic. If you have jar garlic, use jar garlic. It really don't matter, but fresh garlic, I prefer it. Then I slice up my onions and I mince those as well. All the vegetables that I ever use in a dish, I kind of mince them down. My family's kind of funny about eating vegetables, so I try to make sure it's as close to non-existent as I possibly can make it. All right, here I put get my skillet hot, and I put a little bit of olive oil in the skillet to get ready to cook my mushrooms down. Now I season my mushrooms just the way I season my meat. Everything must have flavor. So we have some garlic powder, put that in there, a little onion powder, we slap that off in there. And then some paprika. If you have some smoked paprika, you want the smokiness, add that in there. Some thyme, some Italian seasoning, add that in there. I add a little bit of salt in there, but you also got to keep in mind you don't want too much salt because the sauce has salt, and then you're going to add cheese. I just don't want it to be overly salty, so I'm just very mindful about how much sodium I put into the food. And then you cook them down until they shrink in size. Right, I'm not worried about them getting crisped up in it or anything like that. It's going into a wet meat sauce, so it being crisped up and having texture is not really my main concern. And then we're just gonna cook up the onions and the peppers until they are soft. Everything must be soft. I'm not too much worried about them being completely translucent, even though they seem pretty translucent in here. I'm not worried about them being completely translucent just because they're gonna go in the oven and cook some more. So they're gonna be translucent by the time they come out of the oven. We use ground turkey when it comes to lasagna. Well, actually any of our ground meat dishes, we use ground turkey or ground chicken. Those are our preference, or a plant-based meat. I'll use all the same seasonings that I use for the mushrooms. and the meat as well. I want everything to have its own flavor, but complementary flavors. I did add a little Worcestershire sauce in here just for a little tang and a little bit more flavor. It adds the sodium, so I don't really have to do that too much in this. And then when the meat is almost done, we go ahead and add in the peppers and the onions and stuff and the garlic back in there. Mix that in. And then you're going to add your sauce. I had a little sauce left over from the last time I made a pasta dish, which we make pasta dishes pretty regularly in our house. So I added a little bit of the spicy in there. I can't add too much of that. Like, my husband eats a lot of spicy pasta, but my girls do not like spicy pasta. So I add just a little bit of that in there. But then I just go ahead and add regular marinara. It adds just a little bit of a kick, but not too much where they notice it. So now it's time to oil the pan and put the sauce in and get ready for the layering. We're going to layer that pasta that we had just recently pressed out or rolled out into the bottom of our pan. Now I do have raised edges, but that's just because I don't want it to come out the sides when you scoop it out. And there's a lot of sauce and cheese mixture. Now I did not mix the cheese mixture on camera, and this one's actually a little bit different. Normally I use cottage cheese when it comes to making lasagna or any pasta dish period that has like a ricotta cheese mixture in it. I don't use ricotta, I use cottage cheese. However, this time because my mom always used cottage cheese, I just wanted to see what it's like to actually use ricotta, and I won't do that again. My kids did not like that at all. So we're gonna go back to, it was good. There's no complaints on it. They just really didn't like the texture of the ricotta cheese. With cottage cheese, you can't really tell that the texture is different because it just strings out like cheese. It's just, what is it? It's kind of like, I don't know. What is it? It's like little mozzarella cheese balls. That's how I look at it. But yeah, they were not a fan. It was still good. It was very, very good. But with that aside, we're just going to put this ricotta cheese mixture in there, which I add a little bit of fresh parsley, Italian seasoning in there, a little garlic powder, and then I add like mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, and an egg for the binder, the ricotta cheese. And I just kind of mix that up until well combined, and then I just kind of spread that out into the lasagna. I'm going to just press that off in there. Make a nice even thin layer at the bottom. All right, and so we're putting the next layer on meat sauce. You're just going to layer it on top, and then you're just going to start your layers all over again. And then you do it until it reaches the top, essentially. And then I took the leftover pieces that I trimmed away and put them on top. Once it baked, they will all stick together, so it don't really matter. And I just put a little sauce on top and then topped it off with some cheese. And at this point, I go ahead and cut up a little parsley, put it on top. It just looks really nice with a little parsley on top. And then I put a little Italian seasoning on top of that as well. And now it's ready to go into the oven. Oh, and I have the oven set to about 400. I'm gonna freeze the pasta now, and so that the next time they want pasta, they have fresh pasta. Just because I just happen to have some leftover. So yeah, I'm going to check on the lasagna. I don't smell it yet, so I don't think it's close to being done. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean up. So talk to y'all later. One good stretch for the team. Clean what? Stretch it out. Watch the screen, minutes out. What? Stretch it out. And I'm doing this voiceover because like my kids were incredibly loud. There was no way that I could, even with a mic, I could not talk. I always make more pasta than necessary so that I don't have to do this again right away. It's fun. I like doing it. The girls love eating it. My husband loves eating it. But my body's always destroyed after doing this. I'm so tired by the end of this. And it literally is an act of love. Yeah, I was dead tired after fixing this meal. Every time I cook, I'm always afraid that this food is going to taste like trash, and come to think that my food would not taste like trash, but I'm always scared. And as you see, my husband's very appreciative of the meal I fix. This is probably one of, or right up there with all the other lasagnas I made. This is just so delicious. If you have any time on your hands and can make fresh pasta or just buy fresh pasta, I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and take care guys. See you later. Bye.